fee.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So if you wouldn't mind, Suzette, we can progress to the next slide, which is about...
Sorry, I just have to... It threw a curveball at me just then. I couldn't do two things at once. So...
And
there. We should be sharing now again, are we?
Lovely.
Yes.
And
okay.
So the benefits, thanks, Suzette, is that you get a short term, it's 10 weeks. I'll explain a bit more about that. Some businesses have specific projects that they want or certain activities that they want to get done. The students are in their final year of diploma or final year of degrees, so there's a certain amount of professionality to the way they do things. Feedback in the past, and I'll talk a bit more about that later, is that they get fresh ideas or fresh approaches. If they ask for it, they might get students who've got digital tools that they can help them with their business. One of the things that we found that businesses help create graduates. So it's a little bit of giving back to the community. Others have been more mercurial and have participated with a try before you buy approach, very crudely put, but they're sort of saying, look, if this student and I get on, well, maybe they're future employees. What has also happened is that the business has been so happy with the student, but the student is not graduating quite yet. And they say, well, can you come back in a part-time manner? And that's between the business and the student. It's not part of the program. It's also a way of broadening professional networks for the business. And it's about supporting Glenara City Futures and their way that they can link with educational institutions. Depending on the size of your business, but it also makes some of your other staff have this idea of learning, development, and I don't just mean learning patience, as one business explained to me, that everybody had to really think about why they were doing something, because the student was so keen to learn and they're going to themselves, well, why do we do that? And it made them, and they saw that as a positive. And so here's some, on the next slide, thanks, Suzette, we've got some quotes, and that's what I was saying. It made him think about the processes. This was a student that was doing admin in a warehouse. And another one said about, well, the student was doing some of the real admin stuff like updating databases, contacting some of the their clients to book in, and that enabled the supervisor to get on with a project that they always wanted to get done. Again, doing some of those time-consuming activities, although we are against students coming and doing filing for 10 weeks. That's really not going to benefit everybody. Depending on the student, and one of the small businesses from, I'm just trying to think where he was, he said that the student was willing to listen and then help him evaluate some of the ideas that he had for the future of the business. Now, I'm not saying that's every student, but that was one of the side benefits. Next slide, please, Suzette. So I've already mentioned things like digital marketing, other marketing activities, merging databases, sending out information to existing customers. A couple of students have developed or gone through and looked at, well, which are the profitable customers, which are the less profitable customers, and therefore helping the business to decide, well, do they still want those unprofitable customers that have got no possibility of turning into customers that are worthwhile. Another student developed a completely new process on Excel, and it meant that the staff could quickly find information. So the students do quite a range of tasks, and that's why when we ask for information about the types of jobs that you do, you might have some very specific ones, but there might be some others. Well, if the student is able, then they can do something else. Last semester, unbeknownst to myself and actually the small business, the student had a passion for photography. And this came out as the student was working. And so that whole project got changed with the student then doing photography and then uploading that to the Instagram account. So that's not to say that what you have in mind initially can't be adapted, changed, so that it's a benefit for everybody. Next slide, students. So part of our process, we get your information, and as much as possible, we actually get the students' CVs, and we try and match the student with not just the tasks, but the type of business. Now, in the past, even last semester, there's some very worthwhile businesses applied, but we felt we didn't have the right student. It wasn't the right fit, or it might have been the right fit, but the student didn't have the skill set that was needed. So, for example, the student wasn't as competent in Excel as what the organisation, the company demanded. That's not to say that if you've got specific programs that we might say to a particular student, look, you might have to learn this particular program while you're there. Or it might be that we've got a shy student and we think it might be the right match, but we'll coach the student and say, now this is the sort of questions that you're going to have to be asking. Or one place I found out that they're passionate cricket followers, cricket tragics. And there was a particular student that I thought could be a match. And I said, oh, are you interested in cricket? Oh, he said, I played district cricket in my home country. Good, you've got something to talk about, something to link. when you go there. So we really do try and match, but that we don't guarantee that you're going to have a student this semester. So please don't be disheartened. And I know your time is valuable, and filling in another form is not what you want to do, but the more information that we have, the better that there is for a match. So some places have said, look, I can't take a student for all of the time, and if we've got the right student, well, we might say, well, maybe that student works one day with you for so many weeks, and then for their requirements, students' requirements, they work somewhere else, and we'll work on that. So next slide, please, Suzette. Holmesglen has a duty of care, and so we do expect from you a safe workplace, and that's obviously includes a COVID safe workplace. That's not to say that the last few semesters, the majority of students have worked online, and it's been a successful activity for all. Zoom's a wonderful thing. Last semester, there was a student in South Korea, and she worked for a charity here in Melbourne. And at the end of the time, that particular charity said, if you've got any more like her, can we have them? So we're not saying that the students must attend, but it's up to you and the student to work that out. But we do require that. The other thing is that we do require someone who's going to give the student mentoring, the student feedback as work progresses. So we're expecting that. We're expecting you to also be able to give constructive feedback to us on how the student's going. If there are any issues, we expect you to try and resolve them. If not, I get involved and we discuss how we can progress it. Very, very occasionally, we will pull the student, because if it's not working for you, then it's not going to work for them. So we'd rather say goodbye early than have everybody upset. I just say that for completeness. You might think about confidentiality of documents that the student might have to use. The students are aware that you might ask them to sign a confidentiality agreement, what that means, and that it's important that they behave in a way that's not only professional, but with integrity and confidentiality of whatever they do. What else? You need to indicate whether some on-site logistics, whether it's the student is going to be working from your home or their home, or in the library, or that, whether they need to bring their own computer, whether they need access to certain information. And some places have said, look, we have our own online platform. I don't want the student to access that. Fair enough too. Then you've got to think about some of those issues. I'm not tossing up negatives. I'm just saying, let's think it through. Next slide, please, Suzette. Now we've got two groups of students. One group is the Diploma of Business admin, and they are available Tuesday afternoons, Wednesdays, 4 to 6 hours over 10 weeks. And whether it's a Tuesday or all day Friday, that's up to the student and the supervisor, as in the host business's supervisor, to work out that. And the students do have Easter break, and traditionally we have a debrief session, which everybody enjoys. I think, Suzette, you've been to a few. In the last few years, we haven't had them as much because just getting everybody together other than on a Zoom session is a bit difficult. These students will do an assessment based on their experience, and the sort of assessment is think of the business where you've been doing your placement and what are some of the issues related to customers. It's not a negative thing, it's to do with how they might do customer service. So it's not a critique or anything, but it's using their experience. Now, some students serve, coffees or whatever, and so they might use that experience for their assessment. But it's nothing about criticising, it's just what did you experience, or maybe think about some of the customers where you did your placement. So it's no names or anything like that. Next slide, please, Suzette. The other group of students are degree students, and they're available for just over 10 weeks, 15th of March. Sometimes if we can match them earlier, it can be an earlier start. Sometimes it may not be an early start due to other issues. The students must work 75 hours between that time, and they don't get a break. And so quite a few students will work a couple of days, depending on their commitment. They all do other subjects. So this is one of their subjects. Similarly with the diploma students. So we have to be mindful that they've got other assignments due, and they have to work to support themselves. And so that's all part of that agreement with the supervisor and the student. I've had one student that said, is it all right, they do get a mid-semester break, is it all right if I work every day that week? It's up to you and your business supervisor, whatever suits. So that's much more negotiable with the students. So just going back, next slide, going back to key dates, ideally as soon as possible. I've got from the 28th of February, we try and either interview the businesses where we need a bit more information, or we try and do the matching then. So degree student placement starts week commencing the 15th of March. With the degree students, what I do is the students see your application, and after I think they might be suitable, and a student might do a bit of research, say, yes, I would love to work there, and I send you their CV, and you make a judgment. that this student might fit in. Or it might be, no, can I have someone with more of these sorts of skills? And I might come back to you and say, that's the student with the best fit. The student is willing to learn, or maybe this semester it's just not the right group of students. Placement finishes the 3rd of June, and early June we've got the debrief sessions. I've got in brackets to be advised, because it depends on what's happening with COVID arrangements, shall we say. Any questions, please?
Oh, hi, Robin. It's Warwick here from my physio.
Hello, Warwick. How are you?
Really good, thanks. And so it sounds like a great program. Just got a query about the diploma students. So we're sort of 4 to 6 hours a week over 10 weeks. What's the total hours they're trying to get up over that period?
Warwick, it's more of the 10 weeks.
Okay.
It's they're available here to here, and these are the days, and that's it.
Okay.